Good morning. It's Tuesday, April 21st. Everybody had a great weekend. Enjoyed the snow. Um, Hopefully we're all done with that. So we were going to have a conversation talking about farm structure use. And we had asked the A&R to come in and the LURB to come in. And everybody doesn't seem to, everybody has a lot to say about these farm structure buildings, but nobody wanted to say it. So, we really are just trying to look at simple little exemptions. We have a situation in Senator Major's district and a lot of our districts where we have these farms that are diversifying and trying to do some public good. The towns seem to be fine with all of that, but then we have state agencies who are saying that we have to go through Act 250 when we do that stuff. So we've had some conversations maybe a couple of weeks ago. I thought we were making some headway on it. And both of the agencies between LURB and A&R didn't really seem to think that these farm structures were in their jurisdiction. But yeah, when we try to do something, there's a lot to be said. So Senator Major, anything to add to that, sir?
The only thing I have to add is now I'd like to know who the enforcement agency is. If on any of this,
Right.
I've heard A&R, I've heard LURB, but if both are throwing their hands up, and then we have farmers that are trying to diversify, I don't want them to come back and all of a sudden to say, "Hey, wait a minute, this is Act 250." So I'm just finding out about it, I'm a bit dumbfounded, So I at least say something. I want someone to go on the record from these agencies and say it's not under our purview, and then I'm fine with it. Then our farmers can do what they need to do going forward. But to just say, well, now, but go on the record, say, you know what, we have nothing to do with it, and then we can go forward.
I think that
we've been working on this for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
And if they can't answer us, how can they answer the public?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think that was very well said, and we'll keep moving forward on that. And we have a charge now to figure it out, and we will. I can promise you we'll do that.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
So we as what we do when we're trying to get to the end of our committee time, because we're getting close. There's lots of times that we can't get it 24 hours out and ahead of time because things change, messages come in. Not a big fan of that's how the sausage is made, but I guess that's really what everybody uses. And we have a lot of sausage being made right now, a lot of little things that are going on. And so we're going to just touch upon a few subjects here today. There might be 3 of them. The one of them is we are getting pretty close to we're getting pretty close to getting the houses built out. I just lost that number on it, which is their municipal agriculture bill. 942. Thank you, Linda. Now I get it back. And we have some language in there that is it's about sent over by the agency of agriculture and food markets about how to regulate some pigs when they're in the downtown village center. So on the webpage we have I think language that would work. I have actually run it by one of the towns that's affected, Senator Morley, and he's looking at that language. At first glance, he seemed to think that would work well for his town, because it's not a situation that we're just trying to do for one town. We're trying to write language that would serve all towns, but they're living it. And so the worst thing you can do in the whole wide world is to put something in there that doesn't solve at least one problem. So we want to make sure that town's being affected could be happy with language like that. So if we'd like, let's kind of go down through this language.
Yeah.
You guys are good with that?
Yeah.
Everybody sees it, everybody has it pulled up?
We're talking about the municipal zoning, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's H941. It's not,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not-
Two was,
yeah, it's not in their miscellaneous.
Okay, yeah, so 941, okay,
It's in our miscellaneous.
right.
Our mis-
right. So this is what's going on. This language that you see in front of you, and anybody that's looking, all they have to do is get on our webpage. And you're gonna see a email that comes over from Steve Collier to us. And actually went to Chair Durfee. So they are Attorney Collier is with House Agriculture this morning and going to attach it to our S323 or attempt to attach it to our S323. We are looking at taking the language that the House has sent over, and as we have discussed, doing a strike all and inserting our language of 323 in there, and therefore we would attach this language as well. So, going on this bill, if you go down through it, I'm just going to start reading it. Municipal Agriculture Regulations, Section 1, Findings and Intent, Municipal Regulations of Agriculture. For the purpose of Section 2, this act, the General Assembly finds that since at least the enactment of 2004 Acts and Resolves number 115 has been both the intent of the General Assembly and the controlling law that municipal shall not regulate farming, including the construction of farm structures. The Vermont Supreme Court decision in Taft 8 Taft Street, DRB and November Appeals, 2025 from Vermont 27, reverse application of at least the past 20 years of law to hold that municipalities may regulate farming by municipal bylaw. 3, to avoid the unintended consequences of the decision. In Rob, how do you say that? Is it NRE? How do you say that? In a lawyer way. Page, the first page, section 3,
Yeah.
where you look at it and it says, even section 2, the Vermont Supreme Court's decision in,
yeah.
yeah, okay, and then on the second one,
In Ray 8, Taft Street, DRB, and notice
Was
violation
it-
appeal.
and then on number 3, where it says to avoid the unintended consequences of the decision in, and then it's INRE.
In Ray.
In Ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
oh,
In Ray, 8 Taft Street, DRB and November Appeals, 2025 Vermont 27. It is necessary for the General Assembly to clarify and restate that municipalities under ordinances of bylaws shall not regulate farming or the construction. Okay, so we're very well aware of that. So now we're into section 4. In addition, the General Assembly finds that municipalities shall not regulate by bylaw the growing of plants and the raising of small backyard poultry flocks, excluding roosters, but may reasonably regulate swine waste in designated downtown or village centers. For the purpose of section 2 of this act, it's the intent of the General Assembly to overturn the holdings of NRA 8 Taft Street, DRB, and November Appeals, 2025, Vermont 27, to clarify that municipalities lack authority to regulate farming of the construction of farm structures as set forth in 24 VSA section 4413 small d. Okay, so I think we can just kind of go through section 2. We're already there. Sections A and B, we're very familiar with that, but here's where the language changes. C, farming that meets the minimal threshold criteria and the required agriculture practice rules, and is therefore required to comply with a required agriculture practices rule, except for swine waste in designated downtown or village centers. Municipalities may not prohibit swine or related swine waste related farm structure on a farm, subject to the required agricultural practice rules, but may reasonably regulate swine waste in downtown or village centers if the waste is causing a significant adverse impact to the community. And the Secretary of Agriculture, Food and Markets is unable to provide redress through application of the required agricultural practice rules. Municipalities shall provide at least 30 days notice to the Secretary and the farm prior to enforcing a swine waste bylaw, and any related bylaw shall be limited to requiring the reasonable management of swine waste to limit adverse community impacts.
So good with that, but why aren't we doing it for chicken waste and
Because
or animal waste in general? If you have somebody that's not taking care of their animal waste in a confined downtown area?
Well, we tried to include VLTC on all of this, and they are taking a non-position on it. And so we are doing it the least touch, and we haven't had complaints like we had with swine, and that is really why it is. And so that's where we're at. We're doing the lightest touch that we can and move it forward. And maybe as it goes forward, there can be if we run into situations, we can revisit it again. But as of this right now, we haven't ran into those problems. And I think they're looking to do the least touch.
The only thing that is whenever you have something somewhat vague, and what I mean by vague is you have reason that who determines, is it the municipality determines what, or is that who we're,
My reading of this would indicate the first entity that would be the Secretary of the Agency of Agriculture.
so
And
someone
if he
would,
or she's unable to, then it goes to the municipality.
okay, so let's say, I'm just trying to go through a scenario, so there's a complaint, someone complains to the Secretary of Ag, and then that process starts.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Or they could complain to the town, then the town would complain to the Secretary of Ag, and then it starts with them. And if they can't, so this is almost tailor-made for exactly how it's happened there. They've gone there, under the rules of agriculture, there was nothing that they could do there. But in talking with the agency, I said, common sense would tell you that if you have 200 pigs in a downtown village center and they're doing nothing with the waste, it's going to unreasonably stink. And they're doing nothing with the waste at this point in time. Now, if they were taking the waste out every day and doing what they're supposed to do, and and farming in a way that would cause us a serious odor, I think that this just once the if they don't listen to these Secretary of Agriculture and clean their act up, and then the town will be able to act. And those are pretty powerful. Those are pretty powerful impacts once that they can go in there and start doing what they need to do. Okay. Rob, you're looking. Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. So,
It's an interesting definition of downtown.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
well, let's go through that. I want to see what you're looking at.
It's at the bottom of page 3. And then continuing on 4.
Okay, traditional central business district that was submitted. So, okay.
A cohesive core. As opposed to a non-cohesive.
Okay, so let's look at village center as well. Village center means the core of a traditional settlement, typically comprised of a cohesive mix of residential, civic, commercial, and mixed-use buildings arranged along the main street and intersecting streets that are within walking distance for residents who live within. Its surrounding to core industrial use may be found within or immediately adjacent to these centers. Village centers are typically smaller in scale than downtowns that are characterized by development patterns. I would say that is probably as close to a legal opinion as far as what both of those are. Okay, so some more has changed. The agency has saw it with all of that they were trying to do. If we look at page 5, section B, they have gone back from the 5,000 back to the 2,000. I think that is to maybe in spirit of the NOPAs of the world and rural Vermont. So we're back to that.
I really think we should stick with 5. It's really easy to make $5,000 do construction or any type of plant right now. $8 a pound for tomatoes. You know, that doesn't take long to get to. You know, we move everything else along with, cost of living. I think that should. Just my opinion.
Great.
I don't mind the two. I was pulling for that while we were chewing this all up. I don't see Schedule F in there either.
It's where somewhere, I think
But that's just for you.
the next sub app,
Yeah,
it's
on F on page.
schedule. Yeah. I'm good with the 2000. It's probably
You're good with,
the 2000.
Great.
I'm not even sure about it.
okay, and that's okay. Thank you, Steve. Let's see, we got highlight in yellow, so let's go to page, 7.
Yeah.
Let's go. Well, I'm gonna start with, I don't have to, I'm gonna start with, page 6 and I'll go to, 16, line 16, other livestock types, combinations of numbers or designated by the secretary based upon or resulting from the impact upon water quality consistent with the rule of is raising, feeding, or managing livestock, or managing crops or engaging in other agricultural practices on a farm that is at least 1 acre and less than 4 continuous acres. And has sufficiently land base for appropriate nutrient and waste management. The secretary has the discretion to determine after consultation with the appropriate municipality authority if the land base is adequate to properly manage the type of livestock, with evaluating whether compliance with the required agriculture practice is reasonable and impractical. Livestock on a farm with less than 4 continuous acres must meet the required requirements of this subsection to be subject to this rule and exempt from municipal zoning. Livestock on a farm with less than 1 continuous acre are subject to applicable municipal zoning bylaws, even when a person is engaged in other farming activities that are subject to this rule. Livestock on less than 4 continuous acres may also be subject to this rule to protect water quality pursuant to subsection G of this section, or is managed by a farming filing with the Internal Revenue Service, a 1040-F income tax statement at least one of the past 2 years. G is raising, feeding, or managing livestock on a farm with less than 1 continuous acres, or is between 1 and 4 continuous acres in a municipality and relax ordinances or bylaws to regulate livestock, and the secretary determines after opportunity or a hearing that the livestock are causing significant adverse water quality impacts and the required agriculture practices to apply to protect water quality, or GH has a prospective business or farm management plan approved by the secretary describing how the farm will meet the threshold requirement for this section.
So my question is, as being a homeowner or a farmer, and where is a scale or a information for me to say, where is the secretary getting their information to make their decision? Because I should be able to look into something and say, there should be rules that I know that I can go and look and say, oh, I'm getting close, or I can do better. Or is it subjective?
I think what's, and let me know if I didn't answer your question. I think it goes right back to what they're trying to solve is that if you have a bunch of pigs and you're not removing the waste, that in itself right there would say, no, you gotta.
Right, but is there a chart I can go ratio? I got how many pigs per acre or how many animals per
Well,
acre to,
There's no chart on that because that hasn't been determined because it's over 4 acres.
so yes, I just, as, this is where, and I'm only being devil's advocate now here on this, is because if I don't have something that I can go and look prior to breaking the law, maybe help me out on this, Rob, is that I got 10 pigs and I got them on an acre and just what's happening. And I'm not taking care of the waste. The waste is building up. personally, I'm like, I don't see this problem, but the neighbor's like, hey, it's a problem. Well, now we're gonna get the Secretary of Agriculture to come in and make a decision, and he's gonna say, this is a problem. How is the Secretary of Agriculture, are you telling me that this is a problem? Because we wrote this law? And then when we wrote this law, what determines that I'm breaking the law?
The Secretary of, so in your scenario, nothing's changed from what we first passed in 323.
Right.
Yeah,
We,
You see my question? My
well,
question
we've
is,
already passed that, so I don't want to get ready, I don't want to,
yeah,
I don't want to get into that argument.
no, I'm
The
just-
argument that I would entertain with you would be that over 4 acres, because under 1 acre, certainly we have it right here. We already passed that. That's old news. 1 to 4 acres, we've already passed that. That's old news. It's anything that's over 4 acres that's still in a downtown village center that's causing a problem.
Yep. And I'm just as the owner of the thing, like, okay. Where is the secretary pulling his information other than that you got a pile?
Well, I don't know, Steve, that there's any information to pull,
Okay,
other than you go there and it's a shithole.
I wanted to say that, but I was reluctant.
Well, I think there needs to be some reasonableness in there.
Okay,
take in front of the S word.
yeah,
But we were talking about that other part, the part that we just looked at in sub E, that's clarifying what we had already.
yes, yeah.
So that's, and G, those are what we already passed, but
I don't mind it. I'm just being the devil's advocate.
yeah, I'd have to talk to somebody else on dealing with big waste.
And you're,
Regardless.
That where you're telling me I'm breaking the law because of this, but what is the secretary using to define that I'm breaking the law? Of my waste is too much. Yeah,
I think there are a lot is gonna go there. You're gonna go there and you're not gonna see a salt. When's the last time you took a load of manure out of here?
Yeah, okay.
I think it's very subject. It's very subject to actually to be able to protect that farmer as much as it is to say that to the
Hold him
farmer, hold him accountable.
Right.
And I think that's where it should work.
And frankly, it might depend on the locality to determine what's actually reasonable. Because I can picture a few places in Bennington where, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. And then, it's next to the church or something, it'd be very.
So the Secretary of Agriculture has the right to say to this entity, listen, this is what you gotta do.
Okay.
If they don't do it,
There's fines in there, correct?
then it's able to get kicked back to the town. And the town to start doing what they believe is their appropriate action.
Okay. I was just, do you understand where I was coming? from?
I do, but
But that'll be for the courts to decide us. That's fine.
Part of it's allowing municipalities, after it gets through the agency of ag, which would be enforcing the routes anyway.
Right.
Then if they can't figure out some way to do it, then the municipality would have to come up with some ordinance, some regulation, and that's what would define what it would be. So it has, the law hasn't even been written yet. This is just sort of like giving municipalities the authority to create that, and then there'll be the usual sort of things.
thank you, Rosh, that you found the words I was searching for because, and to go back to Steve's question, I think will bring some clarity to it. Rob just said it. Senator Plunkett just said it. Is that towns have never been able to do this before, so maybe they haven't wrote their ordinances yet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's subjective. I don't think there's a chart anywhere where you could say, okay, if you've got 4 pounds of waste, anything over that, it violates our ordinance. It's the secretary will come and say, oh, you got a mess here. In my view, in my opinion is what counts. Here's what you need to do to fix it. And then if they can't come to an agreement, the municipality will be able to step in at that point and regulate it.
And what I want to do as well, and again, to get, all this to make sure that we're nodding our head in the right direction. I'm not going to ask to accept this just yet. We're just reviewing it. And then, Attorney Collier's in the House, Agriculture right now. And then we'll get them in here to see what they had done. we'll just make sure that some of it hasn't changed and what he's done up there.
So who gave us this? Steve did?
Steve did.
Oh,
Yeah, so this did come from the
so
agency.
the house hasn't seen it?
They have in a letter, just like I got it, but
Okay.
they haven't reviewed, he's up there reviewing it with them right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna just guess that the definition of downtown village center was VLCT suggested by.
Yeah, it captures what most of us understand those entities to be. I don't know about the walking distance. I mean, if I go to downtown Rutland, I guess it's
Yeah.
3-4 miles away. Is that within walking distance? I don't know, but
That's about.
in February it isn't,
Yeah.
you know, but I could drive there.
I'm sure that they have maps or stamps about what they would say. We can ask, we'll ask, we'll,
Have them sort of.
Yeah.
Flush that out.
right, we'll ask them when they come. So first look at the language. Looks like we can be okay with it until we can ask some more questions.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now, let's go to, let me give it some context, but we can go to, H 942. Where it says, Scott Nolan.
Yep.
So I had, an email that basically says that the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, the weight division, has, and the Grocers, Association has come together on language that they can all agree with, doing exactly what we asked them to do, to go out and pound this out and come to an agreement, come back to us. And so this is where we got this letter. The Agency of everybody ready?
Yep.
The Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets has come to an agreement with the Vermont Retail Grocers Association on language that will exempt convenience stores from the unit pricing requirements on H 942, Section 3. If the committee deems it prudent to do so, the agency, if the committee deems it prudent to do so, the agency still maintains a neutral position on this matter. But both the agency and Vermont Retail Grocers Association finds the language below acceptable. The text would go in the exemption section of the statute, which begins, the unit pricing requirements of this chapter shall not apply to consumer commodity sales as follows. The new exemption would be in addition to the exemptions for 2 or fewer stores. The exemption. Convenience stores that sell a limited number of everyday items such as motor fuels, tobacco products. I'll read that over again. I didn't see right. Convenience store that sell a limited number of everyday items such as motor fuel, tobacco products, made to order food, snacks, and beverages, which serve as a quick, accessible retail option for consumers who typically purchase a small amount of products and do not offer a sufficient quantity of consumer commodities to make unit pricing as useful to consumers. The exemption does not include grocery stores, drug stores, dollar stores, and any other types of store. The secretary has the discretion to determine whether a retail establishment is an exempt convenience store. And they're looking to take on that, and if everybody's agreed to it, I don't want to wade into it unless you guys want to wade into it. If they've come to an agreement, then everybody's happy. And especially with the last statement, the secretary has the discretion to determine whether a retail establishment is an exempt convenience store.
And it's just a question, because I kind of like the language. Where does that put a place like Stewart's or
Just,
the other ones that we've mentioned?
just in that top line, such motor fuels, tobacco.
Yeah, but
products,
it's, okay,
made to order foods, which they do. Stewards, that's all that.
But also look, because it also goes in the exemption that was already there. The new exemption would be in addition to the exemptions for 2 or fewer stores. So that's where Stewart's,
they would still qualify.
I think Stewart's would still have to,
What was the other one we used? Maple Fields.
right.
Jolly.
Jolly,
Hey, if they're,
Cumberland Farms.
and they get the retail grocers agreeing to it. I do like that the
And it's-
secretary has the discretion.
And basically what they're doing right now. The secretary has discretion that they could be enforcing
right,
They said they had it.
because it is existing law.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good.
We good?
Fine.
So,
Yeah, I'm wondering why
Yeah.
motor fuel and tobacco products are in the list, but they're also just, it's an example list.
I know
Limited
alcohol
number too, you
isn't.
know, if you sell thousands of gallons of motor fuel a day, is that a limited amount? I don't know why they did that.
Number, if it's
Yeah.
just selling gas, but that's separately regulated.
Yeah.
As is tobacco,
I would pull that out if it was me.
motor fuel and tobacco products.
You would?
The motor fuel, anyway.
I do, I guess I won't pull it, I wouldn't want to pull anything out until I talk
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the people that make the deal.
You know,
But I don't know what,
explaining.
I don't understand why, yeah, I don't understand.
Well, we certainly can have that conversation.
Explain
right?
yourself.
Right.
But if you don't have it in, again, as soon as you make a list, if you don't say and other, maybe it does.
No, it's everyday items such as, so it's not limited to just those things.
Because there are some that don't sell gas, but do sell the rest of it.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that sort of everybody's covered. And I don't, was it Scott Dolan? One of them said, no, it was the other gentleman that was here. You know it when you see it. You know
Yeah.
if it's a convenience store
Yeah.
when you see it. And I think that's a good way of saying that the secretary will have discretion. We got a lot of pressure on that secretary.
It's really on them at that point in time, right?
Yeah, he's gonna
So,
decide whether the waste management for pigs is good and whether a
Right.
convenience store is a convenience store.
Can we get Anson on the line?
Prior to actually just being, that doesn't yourself, yeah.
so we'll,
Current secretary, yeah.
we should probably get them in just to say everybody's good.
Yeah,
Okay, then you can ask them questions. Okay, so then we'll do that. We'll get them back in and we'll make sure everybody's good with that. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, let's, we don't have it on our list. I think we need to come up with that, the last, stuff, Senator Major and I were talking, maybe it's you, no, Senator Major and I were talking. The last little bit of the Paraquat bill will be, explaining the application process.
Right, yeah.
And so, we can, and I think the only part that we had left is that not the mechanical hand spraying, but the mechanical part of, not creating a strip more than, let's say 40 inches, because it was 36 inches out of height of 14 inches or less.
I'm fine, that's that, I would like to just clarify, farmers that we talk to. Even if we could. Do we have strawberry? Farmer, I know we had apples, but I.
We did have a
don't-
strawberry.
Yeah.
I got a couple of them.
Okay, I just didn't remember.
Senator Major, so you're saying just on the last part of trying to determine what a mechanical,
Yeah, just yeah, what, I. If I remember correctly, we did get the
let me go back to my,
manual sprayer, but we didn't get what, chemical sprayer, just so we have the proper language, so we get.
okay, so let me go back to, Friday, my emails. Okay. Bill at Champlain, Orchards. about if I include. He didn't ever respond to, so I sent him an email, he didn't respond to it. Bill, thank you for this. The one question that I would have would be how wide would a strip typically be? 32 inches? So I'm willing to send him another email saying, Bill, we are trying to figure out the mechanical part of your spraying. So that you will be included if we were to say a strip no wider than, can I say 40 inches?
Right.
Yeah.
No wider than 40 inches,
Don't see why it have to be any wider than
inches at on
max.
application height. Application height of 14 inches or 14, an application height of 14 inches or lower.
Yeah.
Would this work? Please respond when you can.
And he's the strawberry guy.
Yes, he was, well, he was a strawberry guy, but he didn't use it for strawberries. He's the young tree guy, the one at 2,000 trees per acre.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Kind of cleaning up some of that. I sent the email, wait to get a response back from that. Anything else that's lingering out there?
I don't think so. Would be nice to get that current use thing figured out, though. If Blurb
I
and
know,
A&R were only,
I,
is the constituent that's in your district operating still?
oh, yeah.
So they can,
He had the concert series, 11 weeks. I have to see when they start.
Probably is, it's probably still too early. It's still chilly.
Yeah, they wouldn't start until probably June.
I think it's a great idea.
all the foods from the farm kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, they have said that it's a concert series and food from the farm. They do have some beverages.
Well, you know.
But they are Vermont beverages, you know, losses.
You can't have it one,
You know,
almost no way to have it 100%.
yeah, but it's losses, which that's all I care about.
Simple sunshine.
Yeah, no better.
We probably shouldn't be
Yeah, probably.
advertising for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I heard it's a nice.
yes.
Wait a second here.
I did just look up, again, it's IA, whether any state has, as of April, banned paraquat. The answer is no. I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, if we're number one or number three, but it'd be somehow comforting if someone else had done it. Maybe. And a lot of them, it's failed since 2025 to pass. But
It may, you know, and that runway may be national,
yeah,
before that
Right.
that runway. Um, and to your point, with the runway as well, some may prior to that runway. So it may not be that first, but I just limited.
His thing, I feel very good about what we're doing. I think we took extensive testimony.
We did.
I think that you could have had 3 options. And I think maybe you always have these options, but on this one specific bill, I think there was 3 options that you could have done. Depending on a lot of things, but probably the makeup of the committee would be the biggest thing that I could think of. One is you could have hung it on the wall.
Yeah.
The other is that you could have chose not to ban it anyway. And I think the third thing is to do exactly what we've done, which is to ban it, but find a compromise, to give them, allow them time to find something different. I think, listen, there's politics throughout this whole building. I think there's times, and other committees. I don't know so much on the Senate side. I'm not saying that just because we're here, but I know you hear about it in the House a lot, that the chair just restricted the amount of testimony that you could get.
Yep.
Yes.
And we did not do that.
Balances. Yeah.
Other than the human element about how bad Parkinson's disease is what we stayed away from, because we know the disease is bad. But as they would say, just the facts, man. And or the facts presented as each person that was presenting it, as what they believe the facts to be. I think that we did a fair job of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's, what's the old saying? If you don't get everything you want, then it's probably a good bill.
Yeah.
And we speak open and honestly in here. You didn't want to ban it. You wanted to ban it, and we came to an agreement where we felt comfortable with it. And I can put look at full disclosure. At the Aquatic Center, we have a program for Parkinson's, and I've seen how it has devastated people. And I'm just looking at a study, PERCOT study. But you can't go 100%, and I haven't heard 100%, even with the and I heard for possible, and there's more testing to be done, and I'm all for that. The thing that I got, what this has happened, we came to an agreement where our first charge, we protected the farmers. And our second charge, I think we protected Vermonters, that we're giving it enough time and how we're applying it, that I can put my head down at night and feel good about it.
Yeah. And that's what I asked all of you to do, and you did it, which was to get to a point to where you could defend the decision that you made.
Yeah.
And be okay with that. And I think I got there. I do. So,
yeah.
And we will probably have some challenges as we move that forward. So the only part that we're missing on that bill is just the last application.
Yeah.
And if I don't hear from them, if I don't hear, I'm just looking to see if I've got an email back. I don't, but we will. So
Yeah.
That's the last little bit of piece of that. So I'm sure that we can settle on that tomorrow. And so listen, guys, we're getting down to it. I think we're going to have to take a day and just clean up everything that we have, meaning all the language that we have, and then have one day or a day and a half of just going down through to make sure that each bill comes out of here the way that we'd like, but, you know, I think by the end of this week, we're gonna be close.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we, will have much to do the week after that. You know, I'm not, but and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with finishing up our work and then, and going from there.
I would too.
Yeah.
Okay. Linda, with what?